Hello, I'm Arianna Anthony, and this is my Fall 2020 final assignment. In this presentation, you're going to hear about my learning experiences this semester and how it has affected me as an upcoming teacher. I've always been an avid and a lifelong learner. I'm passionate about the educational process and helping students grow, but I'm also confident in my own abilities to teach and to create a classroom centered around criticality, relevancy, and diversity. Before coming into this program, I had very underdeveloped ideas about what it meant to be a teacher. I thought that teachers planned, managed, and created everything by themselves. I thought that good teachers are good because they improv well and that they carry the classroom on their personality alone. I also thought that standards were bad and that they limited teachers because they're so Eurocentric, that it was hard for teachers to discuss current events and critical issues in their classrooms. However, this semester my professors challenged these ideas. In Professor Tate's class, we talked about how to work within the standards. We discussed the cost of silence and how students may interpret that silence as a certain issue doesn't matter. I see now how important it is for me to bring up those hard issues in my class and to deconstruct the master narratives within the standards. I see standards now as more of a guide for teachers. However, I do see my own responsibility within them, and when we discussed journal and talked about current events, we also discussed how to adapt critical issues to the curriculum for criticality and also to make things relevant to students. This was expanded upon in Professor McNutley's class. We talked about Warner's authorship as a framework for criticality and analyzing sources. One example that I found fruitful was I did not like the film Misrepresentation, and I didn't really see it having a place in my classroom. However, this was challenged, and we talked about how it's important for students to practice criticality, and even a bad source can still be very fruitful in a classroom discussion. We also talked about the importance of using pop culture to make things relevant towards students and finding things within your own life to bring into the classroom or the public sphere, like the 1619 project. Professor Wheeler's class helped me develop a more growth-based classroom model where knowledge isn't seen as right or wrong. Before, I saw social studies through timelines and concrete events, but looking at NCSS and thematic analysis helped me think about the themes within social studies and how to use those to structure my lessons. I think it is very beneficial for students to think about social studies and themes because it makes it more accessible to their own lives and it's more open to interpretation and personal thought. Another thing that I really valued from this class was feedback. Before, I was very scared about giving feedback because I would never want a student to lose confidence in their work or their own abilities. However, we talked about the feed-forward format, and that really helped me see how I can push students to improve their work and maybe point out possible areas of improvement while still maintaining that confidence and that drive for education within my students. In Dr. Kobe Miller's class, I learned more about what goes into making an inquiry-based classroom, such as good teachers plan for everything from student responses, questions, and reactions, and so I see more about how important it is for me to really give it my all when planning a lesson and the ways in which I can prepare. Another thing was writing in social studies and how to support these writing skills beyond just essays and paragraphs. And I see myself using writing in social studies much more frequently than I had before. Finally, quality questioning. We talked about this in all my classes, but specifically in Dr. Kobe Miller's class, the importance of not only asking compelling questions and inquiry based questions, but modeling that type of higher order thinking to students so that they can apply it in their own lives. I think that was very beneficial to me and will be for my students. In my lab class with Dr. Kobe Miller, one thing that was emphasized was experiencing like what our students experience and putting ourselves in those shoes through like the book club. I would never want to make my students feel like they aren't human, and I think it's an important reminder and framework to have when working with students and just knowing they have their own lives. Another way we did this was through the book club, which is more classroom setting, but I see the importance of experiencing a lesson or an activity through the student's perspective so that as a teacher I know how to improve it and how to clarify it for my future students. Another thing that I found beneficial was diversifying the lecture format and how to create an engaging lecture and an engaging slideshow. Overall, I am so grateful that now I know how to create lessons, and it really demystified the teacher process for me. I also valued collaborating with my peers, and now I see how valuable it is to collaborate, not only for me, but also for my students who deserve the best lessons that we can provide them. I also really liked the technology we used, Jamboard and Flipgrid. I had not known those existed before. And finally, I think the most important thing I learned this semester was how to create a safe and welcoming classroom environment. I think not only were we provided with resources on how to make one, but I think it was modeled throughout my classes on how to make students feel valued in the classroom and to be active learners, and to really emphasize that teacher-student interactions and positive relationship. So I would just like to say thank you all for such an amazing semester. I found it very enriching, and I am so thankful for this experience. Bye.